Find product links below and hundreds more videos on my channel.
Hey everyone, so my name's Nitsan, I'm a filmmaker and photographer, and today I've taken the Glidecam iGlide. I just got it in the mail, and taken it with the NEX 6, which did require a couple of additional washers, like little silver metal discs, but not a whole lot more weight, maybe like double the original weight that it came with. And so I added that, and it flies pretty well. It's very cheap. It's not perfect. There's a couple of really small issues that I think we'd be able to handle, and then actually make this really usable. Now, I love the small size of this thing. The weight and size are basically almost nothing. If you were to put this in a backpack, you would almost not feel the difference, if maybe completely not feel the difference. Now, first of all, the main noticeable issue is that there's some drag in the bearing. So as you can see from my shot, there's a little bit of left-right motion because the gimbal wants to follow. Right now I've got my hand here, and as you can see, the camera follows. I'm just holding the Glidecam's handle, and the camera is just spinning together with me. And so let me just move the handle rather than my whole body. So I'm just going to turn the handle to the opposite side, and the camera moves to follow the handle to the opposite side, and then it comes back again. So basically, the handle isn't completely separate from the stabilizer like it should be. So this could be one of a few reasons. First of all, it could be a limitation of physics. So it could just be that it's so lightweight that it wants to move together with a handle. So the more weight you have somewhere, the less of an effect something else can have on it. So the heavier your camera setup, camera and Glidecam together, for example, then the less of an effect your handle is going to have on it. So that's physics. That could be the issue, and if that is the issue, then we can extend the weight out further. So just using a couple of cheap brackets, we can extend the weight out further and make this better. Just make a nice improvement at something that, again, like I said in my previous my Glidecam HD 1000 review, I hope that this will, this feedback will help Glidecam improve the product. So potentially just a couple of brackets, like two pieces of flat pieces of metal, or even a stick or whatever, to extend the weight out could do the trick. I think that would help quite a bit. Could be that, and this is what Glidecam said to me. They said in an email, they said that it's a consumer product, and that because of that, there's some friction in the bearing, which means could be a cost limitation, which I don't think that would be the case, but could be a cost limitation, and it could be that they have the wrong idea about what consumers want, because I saw two reviews, the only two that I could find online about this, because it's quite a new product, and both of those reviews were, as far as I could tell, they were consumers, not professionals. They were just like the average Joe. I think one of them had an iPhone and one of them had a Gopro or something like that, and they were both not happy with it. They both said, I couldn't get good results with this. One guy was actually quite upset, at least a little bit upset about it. And so so I don't think, hopefully, if it's just because of a wrong idea that Glidecam have about what consumers want, then it's something that they could change, and they could improve on, just to change it for future models, maybe make a, maybe even make a version 2 or something. And now it could be that Glidecam don't want to make it good enough for professionals, because then it would sort of cannibalize their bigger unit. So for example, I'm a professional. I would have bought the HD 1000, but if this was really great, then I wouldn't buy the HD 1000. I would only spend like, what is this, like a third of the price, even less. I think it's like a third of the price. So basically, I don't know which reason it is. I don't know what's the exact reason why there's friction in that gimbal, but hopefully it's something that we can quite easily handle. And now I know we can handle this by extending the weights out. That's a definite. What I don't know is how far we need to extend the weights out in order to do that. So right now I've extended the weights just a little bit further, and basically the gimbal itself isn't super accurate, so if I move the handle from one side to the other, the balance changes just a tiny bit, and that's pretty much, not an issue, because I just lowered the weights down just a tiny bit, and then that prevents that from being an issue. That prevents the stabilizer from balancing differently when the handle is positioned in a different place. So now with the weights a little bit further down, rather than closer to how I would balance the HD 1000. So basically, the further the weights, the further down the weights are, the more you will have a pendulum effect. A pendulum is like a sort of that sort of motion. So that means that when you run, it'll want to tilt a bit. But for slower moves, when you have the weight lower, then it makes it easier. So I don't think this is really something that you would want to run with. I mean, you could maybe get a little bit faster, but as you can see, it wants to tilt down a bit when I go faster. But you could do a fast walk with it. You know, not perfect. It's not, you know, like I said, it's a very low cost unit. It's not that bad, but it's not that good. It's not as good as the professional units, which makes sense. It's much cheaper. But personally, I would have rather paid a little bit more money and got a small stabilizer that's really good. But I guess that's the HD 1000. It's not as small as this, but it's pretty close. Well, not that close, but yeah. So it's also not as bad as some units. Like this isn't. It's not like, for example, the S40. A lot of people ask me about that. It's like this tiny little $100 stabilizer. It's not as bad as that. So I think with a few little modifications, we can actually get some good results out of this, and hopefully maybe even make it professionally usable for a professional who wants to travel. As you can see right now, my shot isn't perfect. Right now I'm doing a shot using both hands, so I have one hand sort of holding the handle and one hand sort of aiming the camera. And so there's a little bit of unwanted motion coming from my hand. And then if I let go of it, then there's a little bit of unwanted motion coming from the handle. So, and by my hand, I mean my hand that was controlling it. So at the moment, you know, like it's not perfect. It, I think, will require doing slower shots. I don't think I could go as fast with this as I do with any others, like any of the professional units. But I think this could be for something where you want to travel and you're okay with not running, but just doing a fast walk. And if you're okay with doing a few small, simple modifications, for example, washing out, if the issue is just with the fact that they've got oil in there that's a little bit too thick, and that's what's causing that drag, it's going to be a really simple fix of just washing it with hot water and soap. I've done this with 2 other stabilizers. Wash it with hot water and soap and replace the oil with PTFE spray lubricant. PTFE is like Teflon, the stuff that you find on frying pans, like non-stick frying pans. And that's what was recommended to me by Glidecam for my HD 1000, which I messed up a little bit by putting cheap oil in there. I thought, oh hey, I've used this for a few years now, let's add some oil. You know, I figured about time, even though there was no issue. Whereas really that was my mistake, is you don't need to add oil to one of those professional units. So I had to wash out the bad oil that I put in it and replace it with some good oil. Now, basically, this thing is gonna be, I think it's gonna be a good buy with a few tiny modifications. So basically extending the weights out a tiny bit, very simple DIY, just requires a stick or a couple of 2-pound like flash brackets from eBay. Like literally super easy to find. I can put a link down below. And then just an extra screw to connect it. So it's going to be 2 really simple fixes that I think will actually make this absolutely fantastic for $150 and make it very usable even for a professional potentially. But I'm just gonna have to give it a go and see. But I wanted to make this video so you can see exactly what it's like from the factory without any changes. So I'm going to do a little bit more footage now so that you can really get an idea of what it's like from the factory with an NEX 6. So it's quite wide. It's going to be a little wider than most people have in their kit lens. So this is a slightly larger sensor with a 16 than Canon's, slightly larger than Canon and slightly wider lens than Canon. So 16mm on a 1.5x crop. But you have to remember that this is not as wide as the 5D, you know, with a 14mm lens. That's a full frame lens with a 14mm wide angle, very, very wide. So this is not as wide. So I'm going to do some walking shots now. Holding this quite low, let's give that a go. Not too bad. It's tilting a little bit, which we should be able to handle by lowering the weights down just a tiny bit. Okay, so I lowered the weights, and let's see what sort of drop time we have here. So I'm going to let go in 1, 2, 2.5 second drop time. It's pretty okay, and holding it now with just one hand, which I think is was the idea that Glidecam was aiming for, because right now I can turn and it'll turn with me and just use it with one hand. But I think it would be much better to just teach consumers how to use it properly with two hands, and have a friction-free bearing. So let me try and do a shot where I aim upwards a little bit, see if that will work. So there's a lot of unwanted motion there. It's as you can see, let me show you how easy it is to switch hands. And I'm gonna switch now. So with the HD 1000 or some other stabilizers, I can switch hands because there's no friction in the bearing, so I just move the handle to another position and I switch hands. With this thing, if you switch hands, it'll turn with you. So because basically you have to turn the handle slightly to easily switch hands. Okay, so I hope you found this helpful. I hope Glidecam doesn't hate me for this. I really am trying to be as helpful as possible, because really this for $150, it's I don't know of anything else that's this quality. So it is a good product for $150, but not professionally usable until maybe after I've done some modifications. Then maybe, you know, then hopefully we'll see a really great performance from this, at least really great for the weight and then the price. So yeah, if I have any more notes, I'll add them on top. Basically, not hating Glidecam, not hating the product, just something that needs the main thing here is just that little bit of friction. And once I've sorted that, it should be great. So I'm going to, please, you know, if you want to buy one now, if you're happy with what you see here, then, you know, go ahead. Otherwise, you can wait for my DIY. I'll try and post it really, really quick, but I have some other stuff I have to post first. So, yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my other videos. And yeah, bye.